there, it's Steve here from Telford Ultimate Guide Walks, and I'm just going to do a little video which explains how I put a walk together. So the first thing I probably do is I need to first of all I decide where the walk's going to be. So when I decide where the walk's going to be, I have got the entire width and breadth of Telford to choose from. But I have to think to myself, what is the most interesting route that we can take a group of people on, and obviously what sort of places can we take them and show them, okay? Because obviously the thing is, with every walk we want it to be as different as the next one, and you know, often our walks are off the beaten track. So for instance, our walk I'm planning at the moment is around this area here, which is the coal pot area, and we've got a few things here that I look at the key points. So on this particular video, we have this area here, as you can see with the mouse. This is where the Telford tree is. So these are the Telford trees that have been planted, and you can see that from an aerial photograph. Okay, so I would like to show people that. I also would like to go down here where Sweeney House is, as you can see, and there is a house there that's been alongside the river for years. It's quite an impressive house. Then I'll go over to here where the sewage works is, the sewage works bridge here, and I also know that that's quite an extraordinary unseen kind of structure. But then also I know that there is a historic footpath running in this area called the Monarch Way. So with the Monarch Way, I know that runs across to just to the edge of Sutton Hill. But I also know that in Sutton Hill, in this area here, this is where the original stone for the Queen was when she visited. So that's quite historic. So then it will be nice to kind of, but I know that the other feature I want to go is go and show them the Punta Verde unique village. So, you know, so once I've got that area kind of covered, I say, so I know the key points that I want to go on, the next thing is just checking out where we can walk. So this brings me to this map, the Ordnance Survey map, and what this does is gives me good detail on where we can walk and where we can't, and it gives me the rough areas of where the footpath's going. So on this particular walk, we're going to be looking at the Monarch Way, and the Monarch Way actually runs from Coalport. You can see it just there at Coalport, and it also runs through that forest where the Telford trees are. But we are going to come off that Monarch Way, so we will start on the Monarch Way, and when we come down, so I know there's a footpath all along the river there, you can see it, and once we get to the sewage works, I know that there's a track that runs up, and also so we're back then onto the Monarch Way, and I can pretty much follow the Monarch Way then back up across through the fields, so I know that's a right of way through the fields, and then up to Sutton Hill, to the other location at Sutton Hill where we'll be able to visit the Queen's Stone. But then that means we can cut back down and across the bottom half of the golf course, back, and then back up to Maidley. So that's how I plan the route. So the next job is making sure I've got the information for people to read. So what I do then is a lot of research goes in. So you can see here that I'm now researching the walk. So I'm getting some information here on the Monarch Way. You can see there. So I look at things like that. I look at the Monarch Way, what it's about, what, you know, why it was done. And next I will go on to next thing I will probably go on to looking at the different things along the route. So for instance, the Telford trees, I will probably put onto my tablet, the overhead images, just to give them something a little bit different to be able to look at. So obviously I need to do a little bit on Sweeney Cliff House, a little bit, I will probably put the video on my tablet of the Queen visiting Sutton Hill, also a little bit of information about the Mediterranean village and the story behind it. So a lot of work goes into it. So eventually I have a full script of exactly what I'm saying, and this can take one of these, the organization of these walks can normally take a good 3-4 hours to do and compile. And then next we have to do what we call the recce, which is visiting the walk and actually making sure it is actually safe, because you can't just trust what's on the ground. So that's what we do. That's how we go about creating a walk. So, you know, for the £3 that we charge, that's quite a small amount really for the amount of work that goes into one of these walks, you know, because you're having a history walk here. So now I've done the document. So the document or the guide is here. That's all done. You can see that's mapped. So in that document, there are lots of different things like the map. You can see the map. There's also detailed maps. There's also information on the different areas that we're going to visit as well, and all sorts of little bits and pieces, pictures, etc., just to help you visualize the walk a little bit more and what you're looking at. So the tablet here, this is what I've uploaded some videos onto. So not only can you, like tomorrow's walk, you're able to actually have a look at some of the video footage as well of what we're looking at. So, you know, we've got a lot of work goes into these walks. So the next job now is to get my walking shoes on and do what we call a recce walk, and that's a walk around the route itself, make sure it's safe and it's good for people to walk on. If there are any areas where it's muddy, I can pre-warn everybody so there's no surprises. So that's where we're off to now. We're heading down to Coalport. See you soon. So the other thing to consider is when we're organising a walk is where's everybody going to park. So obviously I'm in the car park in Maidley. We're going to be parking in the car park at Tesco. It's a good big car park, and everybody's cars will be safe there, etc. So that's where we are. But also it's important to have a parking space or a parking area where the actual walk can go round in a complete circle and you can come back to the exact place that you've arrived from. So this Maidley is a perfect location for this one. So this is one of the places that I will bring my walking group to see on this particular walk. And behind me is the Telford trees installation. Now, these trees were planted in the 1960s and they were designed to be seen by helicopter for prospective clients who would be thinking of bringing industry to the Telford area. And this massive installation here can only really be seen by drone at the moment. But it is a fantastic thing to see when you actually know it's here. Our walking group is planned to come down here, down the bank here, and through this style here, and you can see that you know, there's rocks in the way, it's a bit uneven, and you have to watch those because as a walk leader you have to remind people about these as and when they come through. So that's why it's really important that we do a recce on it. Well, that's the recce all done, and what I will do now is I will report back to the group now and actually say to them, feedback any of the information, such as, for instance, this walk is not really suitable for dogs, so we won't have any dogs, or people who find it difficult with terrain because it is quite a terrain course, but also other things such as your footwear, what to wear, etc. Or even if we're having dinner, bring your dinner. All those things I have to take into account when I'm doing one of these walks, just to make sure everybody's safe. So I'm happy with this walk. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting walk, and we can't wait to do it. So without further ado, let's look at some of the footage from the walk. know. So, all right, if I said where's the Iron Bridge, which direction would you say it is? Spot on.
Hey, it's
yeah, very good, very good. What we're actually doing is we're on the slopes of, we're just coming up on the slopes just towards the side of Great Hay. So up on the top there is our first point we're going to visit in a minute. But this is a great little path, lovely woodland path, isn't it? What we've got here is right. Let's just go back to the 60s, right? And you've got a brand new town you've built, and you want to attract some nice big companies here, don't you? Right? So you know, Telford's in a bit of a carved up mess at the moment. There's a couple of factories being built, but you want these investors from the Black Country to come over. So what's the best way of actually getting around a town and seeing all the land that's available? Helicopter, brilliant. And that's what Barrett did when they released it up for their land. So they had a helicopter. Now, so they fly them. So, right. So, what would be the most famous thing in Telford that you'd want to show somebody? The Iron Bridge. So they thought, right, let's just take them on a whistle-stop tour, pick them up, take them down Iron Bridge, down the gorge, and show them how beautiful the town is and what it's going to become. Somebody had a great idea of thinking to themselves, why don't we plant the whole forest with the words Telford in it, right? Yeah? And basically, only recently, this has been discovered properly. They only put those in, only the wealthiest people can plant those. So what we've got here now is a house here called Sweeney Cliff House, better known as Rock House. So we are going to literally walk right underneath its doorstep, right? That's where I told you about the bit of the thingy, the bit of the rock. Once we've got through and you can see the corner of the house, I'll tell you a little bit more about it, okay?
everywhere.